With me is bearded guy number 2, Alex Lucas.
Hey guys.
So we've had a lot of technical difficulties today, and we apologize for that. Basically, there is no excuse. I have no excuse.
There's gremlins.
I screwed up, maybe. Maybe I overloaded the power. Maybe I just angered the gods, and by gods I mean Rayto. But we are on live on YouTube doing the Android Games Review. Rayto Meyer is behind the console doing awesome stuff and hopefully making everything work. We've got Andy's brand new, it's brand new to us. It's Andy's old camera. I think he threw it away because, he only spent like 10 grand on it, and why, right? Why even keep it?
And it's more than like 2 weeks old, so there's something more awesome by now.
Exactly. So it's a broadcast quality camera. Now, does that mean that we are broadcast quality?
Not even remotely.
No, not close. But we do have an excellent beer today. We are drinking the Mikkeller Beer Geek Brunch. Yeah. So this on the teaser for this, we promised you cat droppings, and the tie-in there is that this is oatmeal stout made with coffee that has passed through the intestines of civet cats. Good thing you brought your towel.
Yeah, the timing was fortuitous.
By the way, I'm just going to do this. It looks totally gay, but you literally can't do that with these levelers.
Fair enough.
Yep. So it's towel day.
It's towel day.
You're a hoopy fruit.
I try to be.
I can tell you, you have your towel, so if you need any other necessities which you may have forgotten, I'd be happy to help you out.
And in celebration of doing the game review, I made sure to get a game-themed towel.
That is so awesome.
That is, Mario-themed.
Nice. Also, this is the first time today, literally the first time that I have looked in a mirror all day. So, wow.
You're doing pretty good.
I really am ruggedly handsome. All right, let's get to the games.
Awesome.
So, I think we're going to go ahead and start off with, what was your favorite game?
I think by far this week my favorite game was Invasion of the Veggies.
Okay. Should we start with that one, or do you want to save it to last?
Well,
what's your second favorite game?
Second favorite would probably be Battle-Loot.
Let's take a look at Battle-Loot. Battle-Loot looked pretty good to me. Okay, so let's go to the tablet. So one of the
I love that sheep.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet.
They had me sold pretty quickly with that sheep.
By the way, the unfortunate.
Oh.
It's good. By the way, I had a talk with the YouTube team, and they said they're cool. Okay. All right. Well, we're done with the cover ass maneuver that was necessary. Let's go ahead and go back to the tablet. Take a look at Battle-Loot Adventure. Apologies for the low resolution today. I know the video is sort of weird off the tablets because for some reason we couldn't get the HDMI to work today. So rather than delay the show while I frantically, did stuff like rebooting the computer, which has always worked before, I don't know why, we went ahead and decided to just put this on a webcam. So that's how we're looking at it. I know we're getting a little bit of temporal distortion, and the resolution isn't quite as good, but we'll be able to play the game anyway. And you can see my fingers. Look. Should I be a hand model? No. Why don't you do this?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be a hand model either, but sure. All right, so Battle-Loot is at its core a turn-based RPG game. It's actually pretty reminiscent of if you've ever played any of the Final Fantasy games. Less random wandering, and it skips the wandering around and talking to people in villages and It's pretty much a series of battles. One thing I do like about it is the battles are they manage to avoid sort of what I call the Final Fantasy trap of making a battle mode that revolves around a long series of submenus. So you can see, in order to attack this little gremlin-looking dude here, I just double tap him, someone jumps and attacks.
But what if you need to use a special ability?
I haven't actually gotten far enough in the game to have special abilities, so I wouldn't
Makes
know.
sense. Because, I mean, that's the Final Fantasy thing, right? It's you've got so many special abilities. And definitely you want to, like, cruise past a menu of all your special abilities before you get to something simple like, you know, stab.
Right.
Well,
But-
stab, actually, I think stab is a special ability.
Is it?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I never really played Final Fantasy. I only watched my roommate play it, and it looks really boring to me.
It was a really cinematic set of games. I enjoyed them, but they all went on too long. I never actually beat a Final Fantasy game. I just got 2/3 of the way through, and then like a year had passed, my grades had dropped, and it was just time to move on.
See, this is why you're working at Google, and my former roommate is not.
Right. I've also never played WoW in my entire life.
Wow.
That was good.
All right.
All right.
So how is the sound, by the way?
It's I like it. The sound effects are pretty fun. The background music is cool. As you can see, or I hope you can see, it has pretty good production value. The graphics are really neat.
Yeah, I really like the style. It's cool. It's fresh.
Yeah, when I was looking at screenshots, at first I was worried that it was sort of the Castle Crashers clone because it had sort of that cartoony thing. But the gameplay is it's entirely different. Like, for one thing, being turn-based.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really like it.
So there's a little bit of what I call the 5-minute illustrator effect going on, where you can see that they've pulled in a bunch of things, a bunch of vector art, and then just kind of animated it together,
Right. Where none of it's really changing, it's just sort of moving up and down.
Exactly. But I think I'm going to give this one a pass because it still looks pretty good, and they've got a lot of pieces. Like some games you'll see will actually only have, one or two moving parts. Like what we reviewed a game a while ago that the only thing that moved was like the monkey's tail.
Right.
And it didn't move very convincingly either. So, and nothing about it. It was actually a really fun game, but the production values just weren't quite as high. This one, I think it's all right. I like it.
They did have, let's see, they had one sort of prerequisite fail, which was just that there was music over the lock screen.
That is so common. It's really difficult. You have to remember that music needs to be shut down when you get an on stop or an on pause. But when you get an on resume, that's not your cue to resume music. The reason is that a lot of times the resume will be sent to your application while something like the lock screen is still active. Now we're actually changing this in Jelly Bean, I believe. Nice. You never know until it actually drops what's going to be in the release, but we've talked about it, and we think it would be nice to actually send the resume after the phone is unlocked. But for the next year or so anyway, you're going to want to make sure that you wait for an on resume, and you also wait for your window to regain focus. And what a lot of people will do, and I think this is the absolute best solution, is don't even worry about watching for these messages when you're trying to decide whether you want to resume music or not. Instead, when you get an on pause, just pop up a pause screen and stop the music. And then don't restart the music until the user dismisses that screen. That is absolutely the best way to do it. Because, music over the lock screen is really, really annoying. But the core question is, what am I doing when I unlock my phone? The problem is, I play a game, but I use my phone for other things. I use my phone for business. So I go into a meeting. Last thing I was doing was playing a game. I pull my phone out. Now, certainly, if the music plays over the lock screen, that's terrible because I got to unlock the thing while it's playing do-do-do-do-do or whatever. I was going to sing a particular song from a particular game, but then I realized, no.
No, because then Rayto would have to mute us again.
Rayto would mute us.
Really, I think this towel is probably towing the line.
Rayto actually has us on a 5-second delay and his hand poised over a giant red button marked mute.
I really wish he had a different button marked beep so that we could swear like belligerently and to our viewers.
I thought that's
at
what the
home.
mute button was for.
It's more effective if there's beep because we could just be discussing confidential things and he would have to mash the mute in time. But if we beep, it sends a signal. We are swearing.
Exactly.
And
Jelly Bean is going to have. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the adventure game here.
Okay. So some of the other games that we're reviewing this week have sort of fallen into this trap too. One of the advantages that this game has is being turn-based. Nothing's actually happening in the background during the lock screen. This, as you can tell, it's kind of waiting things out.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to the menu, let's see how many clicks this takes. It is a little bit confusing to figure out how to get back to the menu.
Okay. Why is that? Because we need to hit the back button.
You hit the back button.
Okay.
It sort of goes to
hit the
this
back button. It goes to
info-y
this pause thing. Yeah, and that's actually that's sort of what we've recommended many times. Is that when you hit the back button, you might want to bring up a pause menu.
Right.
We actually stopped recommending that, and the reason we stopped recommending it is because of exactly this problem, where you see the menu that's popped up is actually quite complex. It's the in-game pause menu, but it doesn't really give you a way to go back, and that's really what the back button is for, is to go back.
Right.
So if it's just the way that you launch some completely new, different, and complex menu, where it's not even obvious how you would return to a previous state, that's probably not the best thing to attach to the back button. And it's especially in a game like this, right? Because, as you said, nothing's happening. When you're playing a turn-based game, that is no different than browsing your email or newsreader or whatever have you. It shouldn't have to do anything special or different than what an ordinary Android app would do. So for a game like this, the back button should really just take you back.
Yeah.
As long as you have some way of also going forward again. That's really the key. There's no forward button on Android, but there almost should be, right? You always want to be able to get back to where you were, whether it's up in the back stack or down.
You bring up a good point. Let's test that out. So I'm not really sure how to get back to the...
No, I don't know. Yeah,
so
we want to...
Let's just home out and go straight back to the home screen and then re-enter and see where we end up.
Well, I hope we'd end up in the same place, right? I mean, that's kind of what's supposed to happen.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's what we want.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. So we're paused, and then there's a pause button over here. What does that do? Oh, it stops us from being paused. Yeah, okay.
Right.
So yeah, it's
effectively the exact same as the back button.
Yeah. And this is one of those examples of things where we kind of ratchet up our standards as time goes on. So it used to be that the main thing we wanted you to do was not disable the back button. And everybody got that message, and this is awesome. And this game is doing a perfectly fine job of making sure that the back button works and, adhering to everything that we said was policy last year. Not policy, but, recommendations.
Right.
This year, we've taken a look at it and said, you know what, we should really go a little bit further. And as I said, this is why. We don't have any idea. I guess maybe I'll hit the quest button. That doesn't do it. There we go. Quest and then quit.
See, and that's
a little confusing.
Weird. That's not what
I would not have guessed that. Yeah. It's not an intuitive UI.
My main critique of this game would honestly be that navigation to different states inside the game, like it's not really intuitive. You don't know where you're going. At one point in the game, like when I was testing this before the review, I leveled up and it said something new in the armory. Go visit the armory. No clue how to get to the armory.
Oh, that's rough. No,
So
that's the thing. Every one of those notifications should be actionable. This is the really important thing. Whenever, and you can think about how you feel when you see a notification in the notification bar on your device. You pull down the notification bar, you see all these little things. How would you feel if you clicked on or tapped on one of those and it didn't do anything?
Right.
Some notifications don't. That's terrible.
I feel like something's missing.
The
when that
recommendation
happens.
is, when you notify the user of something or say, hey, here's this thing you need to know about, you need to be able to take some action right at that point, and you should give the user a button to just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, other than that, I mean, the game here is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. I have a really hard time believing that this isn't a professional team.
Yeah.
So, what I would recommend, I think you may have gotten a little bit too into the game yourselves. You might have played it just a little bit too much. It probably makes a ton of sense to anybody who's played it for even just more than a few minutes. But to the casual user that's just picking it up, it feels very confusing. And that's a real problem. And I'll tell you why. Android, it supports a huge number of applications. Do you see how I saved that? Because I was going to say Android Market.
Right.
But I didn't. Google Play is full of games, and while many of them are not filled with wonderful production values, a lot of them are. A surprising number of them are. They're beautiful, they're wonderful, they're worth your money. And you've got to stand out. I remember going to a talk by Brenda Braithwaite and John Romero, and they mentioned, and they were talking about it in the context of social networks, but I think this is true on mobile as well, that if you didn't grab the user in the first, it was like 2 minutes or something. If you didn't grab the user in the first 2 minutes, they're gone. You're dead to them because they have 100 other apps that they could be looking at. So you really want to grab the user. You want to make sure that the game feels safe to them. It feels understandable. It feels like they can get something done and they can go kick some ass and get whatever reward it is that your game gives them in the beginning. You don't want to drag it out or make them learn something because, it's not 1985 anymore. I didn't just save up my entire month's allowance to go and buy my new Commodore 64 game that I'm going to play for another month because I don't have any money to get another one.
Right.
I'm kidding. I pirated all my Commodore 64 games. Who didn't? Anyway.
I didn't. I got Number Munchers legit.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
I have a hard time
also
believing
like
you even know
5.
what a Commodore 64 is, Alex. What are you, like 12?
He has a beard.
See this?
Now I'm jealous.
Right.
Now ask him what a BBC Micro is.
No clue. Something.
By the way,
British.
this beer is excellent.
It's quite tasty.
It's like a shot of espresso filled with wonder. And not just, I wonder what's in this espresso. That is not what I'm wondering.
The key is you can't let it get lukewarm because it is both beer and coffee.
Yeah, so it has to be cold or hot.
Yeah, or it'll
Not
be
in the
just-
middle.
Or it'll be like awful on like an order of magnitude worse than just lukewarm beer. Or lukewarm
Absolutely.
coffee. It'll go bad. Plus the whole cat thing, I think, really adds a dimension of danger to the whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get that lukewarm. That's a bad idea. So back to what we were talking about. The point is, you've got just a few minutes to impress your user, so make sure you make the most of them. All right. Other than that, I mean, certainly I'm impressed by the graphics.
Right.
The gameplay actually seems really fun.
Yeah.
So
I'm on the verge of would recommend it for feature. I feel like it needs a little bit more of in-game navigation, so you know what you're doing inside the game, like how to get to the armory, how to exit out to the menu, so that you don't just play for a minute and a half, get confused, bail out, and go play something simple instead.
Well, you know what I think I'm going to do? And we just want to talk about this a little bit because there was some confusion online before about this. We're going to nominate this to our Android Game Review Board. And what that means is it will go into a list of games that are being looked at by a group of people. They're all volunteers. We buy them beer and we sit them down with a bunch of games and we say, hey, play these games, tell us what you think. Now, these people are
It's really
experts.
It's a really rough work life here at Google.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you have to do these things. It's either that or look at APKs for porn.
Right. It's that we're committed to
Yeah,
the job.
you kind of split your time, right?
Yeah, well, I put in that extra 50%.
Good job. No wonder you got promoted. So,
Thanks.
anyway, we put you on this list, and a bunch of very skilled people. A lot of them have worked for years in the video game industry. They come from all over the place. Basically, just got tired of making video games and thought, hey, I'll give Google a shot. And of course, they just got right in because video game programmers are awesome.
And like beer. And like free beer.
Yeah, that's pretty much the draw, don't you
Yeah.
think? So, when these people look at your app, they're going to kind of scrutinize it for several of the things that we talk about on the show. Buttons of shame and the back button issues, navigation, resolution for tablets and things like that. But the main thing they're doing is trying to figure out if the game is fun and if it's going to appeal to a lot of Android users. And if they don't feel that it's worthy of being featured, they will enter tons and tons of text as long as we stand behind them with whips and make them enter it. And we'll send that to you in general. Now, this sometimes takes weeks because, quite honestly, there are a lot of games to look at all the time. And
on a good day, we burn through maybe 20.
20, I think that's our record.
20 is our record for games we got through in a day.
Right.
For this review process.
Yeah. Anyway, all of which is a long way of saying, when we say that we'll send you some feedback or that we'll nominate you for featuring, in general, we won't be able to do that the same week because what we do is we put it in the queue, we mark it as something that we talked about on the Friday review, which makes it automatically a Pri 1, which we get to after the Pri zeros. And then once we get some feedback, then we can send it back to you. So this one I think is worthy of that process.
Absolutely.
I think we should talk to the review board. We should see what they think, see if they can think up some excellent feedback for us. And this has worked really well in the past. For instance, let's talk about my favorite game that we've talked about on the show, which is Gunman Clive. I love Gunman Clive. I think it's just a cool game. We took it to the review board and they said, there's a lot of good things about this game. Here's some things that we would fix. They made some, a few suggestions, some of which were reasonable, some maybe not so much. We took that back to the developer, went back and forth for a week or two on email, and eventually Gunman Clive was featured just a couple weeks ago. So that's how we work here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. So I think we want to maybe Puzzle 2 HD.
I should
Actually, before
point
you-
out to you guys before you get started, it's 40 past, so you probably only have time for one or two more games.
Wow.
Well, we talked a lot today. You know what the problem is? No clock.
No, yeah.
There's no clock in front of
We
it. There
need a
used to
clock
be.
keep us
Yeah.
going. Before we get to the next game, I really want to plug. I just found out about this today. The Because We May sale.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
We've been working with those guys for a while. The Because They May guys, Because We May, is a collection of independent game developers who are doing a sale on every platform where they can set the prices themselves, because they can.
Right.
There are some platforms, Google Play is not one of them, there are some platforms where you can't set your own price. So there is a great sale. What day is it?
I think it's running right now.
Okay.
Through June something.
Great, because this was a whole bunch of people, a bunch of games from the Twitter feed, a bunch of independent games that we had looked at in the past and loved.
Right.
I think, what did I be, like 10 or 20 titles?
So I think 20 plus.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of my favorites on there. There's like World of Goo. There was Osmos. I
think Gunman Clive was on there, yeah.
And they're all just celebrating the fact that they can put things on sale whenever they want.
Absolutely,
Like,
yeah,
as
you're in
someone
charge
who
of your
actually-
own merchandising.
Right. And because I buy these games, I also want to celebrate that they can put this stuff on sale whenever they want.
Yeah, don't I buy those games for you, though?
You do.
Yeah.
But you do for the ones that we review. But if
Mm.
but when I'm late to the game and it's already been featured, and so
Yeah, that's rough.
I'm left to my own devices.
So anyway, go ahead and check that out, because that is an awesome sale. And we really want to support independent game developers. You notice we're really strongly committed to helping independent developers and not just the gigantic corporations that everybody hears about. So whenever we get a chance to feature some great independent titles that have some really cool qualities, we like to do that.
Oh, you know who else is on there? Chicken Bandit.
Chicken Bandit!
Chicken Bandit. This is one of my favorites. I met these guys at GDC, and they came up to ask a question. They asked if I could give them any advice on how to better market their game. And so I said, well, tell me about your game. They said, okay, there's a cowboy riding on the back of a giant chicken.
Sold.
It's sold. Like I bought the game. Like that's all they needed to say to anyone, you know. So it's a fun game. It's a little bit awkward to get used to the UI, but it's a lot of fun to play. And the premise is a cowboy in the back of a giant chicken.
Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of like a Commodore 64 game.
A little bit, yeah. But like the good kind of Commodore 64 game.
Oh, absolutely. If I'd had that for the Commodore 64, I would have been really impressed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, we want to just cover a couple more games, right? So let's lightning round, right?
All
Speed round. So let's go through a few of the. So, for instance, so this is Neva Defense? Nega Defense?
Negev, I think.
Negev Defense. All right.
Okay.
I love the guy. I don't know if you guys saw his post on Google+, but he mentioned that he was doing this because he wanted people to be prepared for a missile attack, which I'm not sure where this dude lives or what his life is like, but I think that's pretty boss.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's all black screen, so you're mostly looking at the reflection of our webcams.
You can't even see what I was playing.
Okay, lightning round.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so Negative Defense was really interesting. Not like super high production values, but very cool game. You should check it out.
Right.
All right.
I would definitely say Invasion of the Veggies.
Oh, we need to look at that. Sure.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite game from this week. And we'll skip straight. This is actually also the only game this week that managed the lock screen and the back button both perfectly.
All right.
Which I was really happy with.
Who's the developer?
I don't remember. Basically, there are vegetables.
It's a ballistics shooter.
It's a ballistics shooter.
Oh, but it's not like it's not like a ballistics physics puzzler like I was sort of expecting.
It's a ballistics tower defense basically, or not tower ballistics defense.
No, that's cool.
And as the game goes,
because you gotta have a little timing. You gotta lead your guy.
Yeah, and
I'm reloading. I hate reloading.
You can shoot 3 and then you have to reload. I think you can get a bigger bucket of cherries. I guess these are
onions are super tough.
As an upgrade.
I can understand this because I love fruits and hate vegetables as well. So, what was that? Oh, I hit that button by mistake.
Yeah, I think you randomly hit the home.
So I was talking to Matthias a couple days ago, and he was talking about exactly that thing. They actually were talking about maybe moving some of those buttons in a future version of the OS, just so they wouldn't be so easy to hit them during gameplay.
It would be nice to avoid some button mashing. I think we got actually a question on developer office hours on Wednesday that said, "Is there a way that I could move like the home and back buttons to the top of the screen so I don't have people accidentally drop out?" And the only answer we could give him was no, but maybe you can render your entire application upside down. And which is sort of that
is a wonderful answer. And while you're at it, put your tabs on the bottom.
Right.
You know why? Because that's what Rato Baggins hates. So can you pass me that bottle? Yes. Because the truth. No, the one that's full of beer, not the one that's empty.
Okay.
Because honestly, cracking this open and pouring it in my coffee mug was the only good thing that's happened today. So.
All right. If you can pop back to the screen real quick, I've got I really enjoy this game. The only nitpick I have, and I would definitely nominate this to the board to investigate for featuring. This isn't a block or anything, but just as a critique, the upgrades don't describe what the upgrades are until you can afford them. So this guy, the strawberry, it says not enough money. I have no idea what the value of the strawberry.
No, you know what? I love that. You like that? Yeah. I love that because it keeps you guessing. I like that it shows you, okay, it's a strawberry. It's not just a picture of a lock or something. I hate that.
Right.
But you think to yourself, oh my God, I want that strawberry. What the hell does that strawberry do?
And then
I didn't tell you. It better be something awesome. Nice job, Rato. Because if I yearn for that strawberry for weeks until I earn whatever dollar amount it is that strawberry costs.
$5,000. Maybe that strawberry passed through the dietary tract of that cat too.
That's possible. Yeah. If I yearn for the strawberry and save $5,000 to buy that strawberry, it better do something incredible. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, it's really cool to have things, I think, that you're interested in. You know, part of games to me is discovery.
I can see that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
different strokes, different folks.
Yeah. Still, definitely a fun game. Oh, let's see what else. Oh, this guy. This is an interesting game. It's a survival-based game called Deep Trip. That's as you can see, there's not much in the way of a menu. You just sort of skip straight to the game.
See, when I heard that we were reviewing a game called Deep Trip, the last thing I expected was a game about eels.
The background music is the background music is catchy. The game is simple to play. The graphics are beautiful.
Is it as catchy as Whale Trail?
It's no, but that it's not fair to compare something
That's
to Whale
true.
Trail.
You know,
It's so pleasant.
I've talked to a lot of people that have played Whale Trail, but have never gone to YouTube and checked out the video. And you need to do that. You know, we don't usually plug other Google products on this show, but
Well, it's not Whale Trail's not a Google product.
no, YouTube is.
Oh, right.
YouTube, give them some views. So what they did is they made an entire music video, and it's like the Beatles on. So the Beatles were on acid. So what would you have to go? What would you have to do to get further than that?
You mean to explain Whale Trail?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I don't know how Whale Trail happened.
By the way, this show contains alcohol and drug references. Parents should be supervised. That's some great coffee with beer in it. All right, so but it is sort of a survival runner, right? You know, up and down
Yeah.
type of game. So
Yeah,
similar to Panic Flight or Whale Trail or a lot of.
Yeah.
How do I
mess up
control
a
it?
couple of the life cycle stuff.
Okay.
For instance, in mid game, if you hit back, no menu. You just disappeared out of the game,
Well, so what happens if I go back in? Oh, I get a loading screen,
and then you start over. Yeah.
Oh, that blows. Yeah.
And they're. I mean, this is a minor thing that can be fixed. The one thing that they did that I would consider a cardinal sin is that after you leave the game for the first time, there's a notification that pops up that says, "Hey, check out our other HeyZap games."
Okay.
And that's no. It's notifications aren't
Well,
advertising.
No. Hey, so it's a notification in the notification area.
In the notification
really?
area, when you're no
Oh,
longer in
okay.
the game, it's just an advertisement for other games. From the same
Wow.
publisher.
Well,
It's-
so that is better than asking for system alert permissions and then showing a system alert dialog, right? But
or a toast in the middle of a different game.
yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So certainly, if you need to notify the user of something, the notification bar is the right place to put it. But yeah, I think I would get a little
It's-
pissed off too.
The thing is, the notification bar, like you said, it's for when the user needs to be alerted to something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like when we even say in the Android Design Guide, it is not a place for, oh my God, they haven't seen our brand in 5 minutes. We need to fix that.
Really? So remind me again why we did cloud-to-device messaging for games. Now, but yeah, this is true. I mean, a lot of people do use notifications to promote their brand, and it's one of those things like direct mail. Everybody says they hate it, but it must be working on somebody, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, there's as a member of developer relations, I won't nominate until that goes away.
I agree.
And as a user, if the game is going to be irritating to me, even when I'm not playing it, it gets uninstalled.
Well, that's very true. Saying, "Hey, you haven't played my game in 20 minutes," is a great invitation to either play the game or uninstall it. So it may or may not be a good thing.
Yeah.
So we have the developer of Invasion of the Veggies on the stream, and he has helpfully said that he can fix it so that the user will be able to see what the upgrade actually does, even if he doesn't have enough money. So the question is, should he make that change?
Oh. Well, I think that maintaining a little air of mystery is fine. I think it's a cool idea. but it's really up to you.
See, I'm of the opinion that part of the strategy is like, okay, here's a power up that's $2,000. Here's a power up that's $5,000.
Do you want to spend?
$2,000, right? I want to know: do I save up or do I just splurge on what I have?
But if you don't share that information, then it's like a Monty Hall thing, right? Do you want to keep it, or do you want what's behind the door?
But what if what's behind the door sucks? Or shouldn't say.
Well, sometimes it does. That's why Let's Make a Deal was an interesting show. Hey, Reto, have you watched Let's Make a Deal? How about you? You probably know Let's Make a Deal from the Monty Hall paradox in your statistics class.
I do.
I'm so old.
I also watched the game as a kid.
So, I think it can be an interesting thing. But like I said, we haven't actually bought these power-ups. We don't know what they do. They better do something amazing.
Right.
You know, you want to have something that's really cool. If it's just, it does 10 more damage than the grape or whatever, maybe you should just say that right out.
Yeah.
But if it's got something really cool about it.
Yeah. Ian and I are on opposite ends of this one, but I would say do some research. Like I said, this is not a deal breaker. It's like, we would have featured it, but I didn't know what the strawberry did. Like, that's never going to
No. You're right. Yeah, we're just spitballing here. We're arguing amongst ourselves.
And it's really like, that was like the one nitpick in this game that I was like, that's less than awesome for me. Like, everything else, it was a lot of fun. I liked beating back the angry hordes of carrots.
You know what? I'm going to say this. I think it's worth trying it out.
Yeah.
I think, the aura of mystery intrigues me, but I don't think I would miss it.
Right.
Right? So if you have the chance to change it, I think I would.
Okay.
I really do. And that's not just me caving under to you and your towel-clad body. It's
an amazing towel, though.
It really is. Anyway, yeah, I would say go for it.
Yeah.
That takes us to 256.
All right.
At 256 is an excellent time to close down. Thank you very much, Reto Meyer, for being a stellar producer. I think somebody said this should be your day job, and I heartily agree, because you suck at everything else.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. A pleasure as always.
Reto is awesome. He's the face of Android developer relations. We're very lucky to have him as a producer today. He's extremely attentive. All the titles have gone up. All the scene changes have happened correctly.
Devil horns have not appeared over either of our heads.
We haven't actually seen the stream, remember? We only see what Reto chooses to show us.
Hopefully he won't use the tiara that was on Wednesday's office hours.
You guys don't watch the YouTube stuff after we've posted it, right?
Well, I do now. I'm in this one, man. I'm watching it.
By the way, do you see our names in the correct places?
Oh, no. They're in the wrong place.
Nice.
I'm glad I wasn't the one who put the titles together today.
You're right. I should have sat on the other side.
But folks on the screen
but when we asked Reto, hey, can we do a practice shot? He's like, oh no, we're live now. Like that's ever stopped us before. All right, it's time for us to go. Actually, we need to go crack the whip on the Android game review board. We've got to go take notes and ask him to give more justification and all sorts of things. And we need to carry the beer over to the other building. So it's been wonderful to have you join us. Thanks very much for tuning in. And we will see you next week for another Friday game review. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.